The Chicago White Sox finished 2024 as the worst team in Major League Baseball and made a strong case to be the worst team in baseball history. In the offseason, the South Side made a handful of moves that arguably could leave the team in a worse spot than the previous roster. And today we're going to be previewing the new look White Sox and how they will fare in 2025. The biggest move of the offseason for the White Sox came with the trade of Garrett Crochet for prospects Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, Chase Meadroth, and Wikelman Gonzalez. While losing Crochet will be a big loss for an already bad team, the prospects they got back are some serious hitters. Teal is a catching prospect that raked his way up to AAA in just his second season of minor league action, which should put him on track for the majors in 2025. He does a lot of things well, both offensively and defensively, and is a really exciting guy to watch, especially once he's going to make it to the major league. Montgomery is another guy to keep an eye on after being drafted 12th overall in the 2024 draft. He profiles as an excellent right fielder once he gets some playing time and should ascend quickly to the majors. He didn't play last year due to a broken ankle, but once he gets his feet underneath of him, he should hit the ground running with his prolific arm and power. The other two prospects don't have the status of Teal and Montgomery, but certainly have their quirks that make them exciting and are both MLB ready. As for the rest of the offseason, they signed a slew of marginal MLB talent in Josh Rojas, Mike Tauchman, Martin Perez, Austin Slater, and Bryce Wilson. Rojas has the highest ceiling of the bunch as he is already solid defensively and has a history of it being at least average offensively, none of which are true difference makers, but at the very least field MLB level talent and give the team some sort of a floor at the position. For losses, we have the aforementioned Garrett Crochet, Yohan Moncada, Mike Clevenger, and Gavin Sheets. Aside from Crochet, none of the players are truly gutting for this roster and won't see a bunch of wins leaving out the door. Not that there's a lot more to lose. That brings the current depth chart to Corey Lee starting the year behind the dish, Andrew Vaughn at first, Lane and Sosa at second, Brooks Baldwin at short, Josh Rojas at third, Benintendi in left, Robert in center, and Talkman in right, with Miguel Vargas as the DH. Matt Thaiss as the backup catcher, Nick Matton as a utility option, Zach DeLoach as another outfielder, as well as Austin Slater. As you can see by the Zips projections, there isn't a lot of hope for the outlook of these players, with every position but center field being at the bottom half of the league. Somehow the rotation and bullpen are looking even more bleak, with the Zips projecting both of which to finish dead last in the league. The rotation is currently projected to be Martin Perez, Jonathan Cannon, Davis Martin, Sean Burke, and Bryce Wilson, a unit that certainly isn't full of established major leaguers, and the same comment could be extended over to the bullpen, even if some of them had some success in the major leagues. Overall, it's not a great unit, but there should be some good that arises from the goop throughout the season. For players who could break past the projections, it has to start with Luis Robert. Whether Robert will see this rebuild through or if he'll be moved somewhere else remains to be seen, but this is not the Luis Robert we are promised. After an absurd 2023 with 38 homers and an 857 OPS, his offensive game just plummeted. He did have some struggles with injury, but if he can return to form, the White Sox will not only have a star performer, but an even bigger carrot to dangle on the stick at the trade deadline. Another player who needs to show that form that we are promised is Andrew Vaughn. This is 4 seasons of average offensive performances from the once highly touted prospect, and I fear if he can't break out in 2025, he'll be a non tender candidate at the end of the season. If both players can have a nice season, it can provide at least a nice tandem in the middle of the lineup. And another player who can provide a nice boost to the team that is unforeseen is James Karinchak, who signed a minor league deal late in the offseason. Karinchak has had quite a fall from grace since his historic 2024. However, there is so much to like with the bullpen piece, and if he can get it straightened out with the injuries that plagued him last year, there is a world where he can become a stronghold in this bullpen. Other sources of hope can come from their loaded prospect system, which has finally come to fruition in 2025. The highest rated of the bunch is Noah Schultz, who finished last season in Double A. Because of that, Schultz isn't a player we'll see right away in 2025. However, his current trajectory has him rising through the rest of the minor leagues fairly quickly. Schultz is a massive human being at 6'9", as one of the most devastating fastball slider combinations in the minor leagues. All of that is coming from the left side, which makes Schultz one of the most exciting prospects in all of baseball. Joining him on the list of prospects that make this prospect system so exciting is the new faces to the system, Kyle Teal. Teal's been sick throughout his entire time in the minor leagues, pounding his way to AAA in just 2 seasons. He did have a bit of a hiccup there, so it's unlikely for him to start the season in the major leagues. That doesn't make the prospect any less amazing. He is fairly sound as a defensive catcher, showing constant improvement in that regard. However, where his game has been the most surprising has been with his bat. Across his tenure in the minor leagues, he has posted a 848 OPS and showed significant improvement in the home run department in 2024. You could argue he sold out a little bit too much for homers, and that was why he declined at AAA, but either way, he is on his way to becoming an excellent major league catcher. Colson Montgomery had some struggles for the first time in 2024, and that was a large reason why we didn't see him last year, but he is still a really sick prospect. He is a physical specimen at the shortstop position who continues to add more pop to his swing, even if that means some of his swing decisions got worse last year. There are some questions about whether he'll stick at short long term, but if he can stick, he is a shortstop with a really high ceiling and the physical tools to make him a solid everyday major leaguer. He should be a player on the radar early on in the season. And a final prospect who can make their impact on the major league roster is Edgar Quero. Quero redeemed himself in a big way in 2024. The offensive minded catcher posted an 829 OPS across double and AAA with 16 homers and 70 RBIs. Quero has also been putting in work on his defensive game, where he isn't a complete liability back there anymore. He isn't on the defensive level as Teal, but he should still be serviceable. He should get a crack at the majors before Teal, and if he can continue to produce at a good level, he could create a ceiling on Teal and solidify his spot on the major league roster. And that brings us to the overall predictions for the team. At their lowest, this team should be better than last year just by pure happenstance. Even at that, the roster has more balance to it, even if there is less star players. And at the floor, this team should be still horrendously bad, but 52 and 110 is an improvement, but it will be about where I see they'll end if everything goes poorly. For their ceiling, they have the chance to end as not the worst team in the major leagues at 65 wins and 97 losses. If Robert can turn it around, if Vaughn can finally break out, and if the prospects can show up in good form, this team can be okay. Finishing at 65 wins is totally in the realm if everything peaks. However, part of the problem is that the two positives that could emerge with the breakout performances and the prospects performing will probably be split in the time of year where they are present. If the breakout players actually perform, they'll likely be traded, and the prospects hitting the majors won't be until the midway point of the year, most likely, so they'll likely land in the middle at 58 wins. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.